The ever-evolving sport of F1, you say? Yep, you're right. The F1 has gone and done it again. A host of new F1 regulations have just been decided, and we were just recovering from the not-quite-finished era we were introduced to. The FIA has revealed its preliminary ambitions for the 2026 chassis regulations, which will adopt the next-generation power unit following a meeting of the F1 Commission. What are some of the significant modifications the FIA made to the 2026 F1 vehicles, and how will they affect the sport? Keep listening to the end to find out what the changes are and if the regulations will improve racing or hinder it. The FIA developed several significant goals, which are connected to performance, characteristics, sustainability, and financial rules to achieve specific power unit specifications. In addition to what was done with the major technical regulation changes in 2022, there will be significant changes to the cars. One of them is making F1 attractive to new power unit producers, as well as maintaining the spectacle, focusing on environmental sustainability and ensuring financial sustainability. The FIA is still considering adding a new rule, despite the fact that Formula One recently underwent a big regulatory overhaul. Manufacturers like Audi and Porsche were involved in the discussion, but have been abruptly ended. The guidelines for powertrains were largely established, however the regulations governing the chassis and crucial aerodynamics elements are a mystery. The F1 executives held a conference where preliminary aims for the 2026 chassis rules were laid out in response to the new ground effect, new era cars of 2022. The FIA's aerodynamic department's simulation work served as the foundation for these goals. They were developed to raise the level of competition and provide racing enthusiasts with more thrilling experiences. Powertrains will remain based on turbocharged 1.6-litre V6 combustion engines. The total electrical power available to drives will be raised to 469 brake horsepower, which will now be supplied by a single energy recovery system ERS hybrid unit. The very complicated motor generator unit heat MGU-H, which catches energy from exhaust gases, will be retired. The motor generator unit will subsequently generate all electrical energy. Kinetic MGU-K, which recaptures energy when braking. Given its lack of applicability to road vehicles, the Volkswagen Group was hesitant to commit to the price of building an MGU-H system. The MGU-K system is conceptually comparable to energy recapture systems used on most road-going hybrids and EVs. The engines will also run on 100% renewable fuels. However, no additional information has been provided. Porsche has just begun manufacturing at a trial e-fuels factory in Chile, intending to transition the one-make Porsche Super Cup, which runs on the F1 support package, to the fuel. The FIA stated that the regulations were created to achieve 4 essential goals. These include conveying a dramatic environmental statement by using 100% sustainable fuel, shifting attention to electrical power, and a vow to let beginners join the sport at a competitive level. The governing body also wants the new regulations to allow for considerable cost savings and preserve the show by allowing drivers to compete in strong, high-revving, noisy vehicles. The second goal that we will discuss is reduced drag. The lesser drag will boost sustainability and efficiency while complementing the power unit's attributes. As a result, it is one of the essential goals that the FIA will strive towards. Furthermore, reduced drag will make F1 vehicles more fuel efficient while retaining horsepower, allowing teams to adopt powertrains that rely more on hybrid systems and use sustainable fuels. The FIA enhanced the capacity to follow the car in front without losing traction in 2022. There will always be some occurrence that will influence the cars due to the default principles of physics. However, this might greatly minimize this impact by adjusting weight distribution and making automobiles less aerodynamically sensitive. Looking at what transpired in the 4 Grand Prix held in 2022, the technique appears to be sound. Another major goal for the FIA is to provide smaller, lighter automobiles. Because of the continual expansion over the last decade, the size and weight of F1 vehicles have been extensively questioned. When comparing new-era automobiles to 2009 autos, the minimum weight rose by no less than 31%. The weight of the F1 single-seaters in 2022 is 798 kilograms, up 46 kilograms from the previous season. When the next generation of Formula One vehicles is unveiled in 2026, they will be smaller, with active aerodynamics for lower drag, smaller fuel tanks, and car-to-car alerts to prevent collisions. For decades, the FIA has sought to improve Formula One safety in whatever way imaginable. Without a doubt, safety enhancements are a goal for the 2026 regulatory change. They did, however, mention an active and networked safety system, which is quite intriguing. When we think about active safety, we think of the plethora of sensors in road automobiles to avert potential collisions. It might be life-saving to see an emergency braking system, laser or radar sensors that notify F1 drivers. Simmons also discussed the new technologies that the FIA looks to include in cars to minimize accidents, highlighting the difficulties of lowering car size while preserving safety. One of the areas we are looking at is a car-to-car communication, he says. A car knows if there's a car in front of it traveling slowly. Secondary safety is about absorbing energy, which needs length and distance to deform, so it is quite tricky. It's a long road until 2026, and until then, we will keep you updated with all the pieces of information released by the FIA. There will be a reasonable reduction in fuel consumed during the race. My estimate for the moment will be 20%, maybe even 25% less than we are using. The former Williams, Renault and Benetton tech boss emphasized F1's desire to start reusing materials to become more eco-friendly and sustainable, rather than focusing on bringing in more sustainable materials. Cars are created the way they are because it is the greatest way to accomplish it, he explains. There are specific commodities such as nickel and cobalt where we need to think a lot about recycling because of the difficulty of extracting them and the circumstances around them. We believe there is a latent issue with the batteries. It's all very well to say when batteries come out of a road car, they may reuse them, but that only goes so far. We feel that recycling is a key aspect of the overall electrical system for the future generation of automobiles, so we'll be doing a lot of work in that area. However, the newly introduced hybrid engine, the Halo safety feature, 18-inch wheels and other considerations all contributed to the weight and size increase. The world is moving toward renewable energy sources, employing products to cut down on pollution and doing all reasonable steps to protect the environment. And now the FIA has chosen to support efforts to make this possibility even more possible. Another wish is to continue along the path of standardization or simplification of strategically selected components to save money. Increasing the use of sustainable materials and focusing on recyclability are also important goals for the FIA. Pat Simmons, F1's technical director and former driver for Williams, Renault and Benetton, emphasized Formula One's aim to begin recycling materials from single-seaters to become more ecologically friendly and sustainable. Cars are created this way because that's the best way to do it, he confesses. But there are some materials we must think about recycling because of the difficulty in obtaining them and the conditions around them, such as nickel and cobalt. The other sensitive topic is electricity, namely the rare metals used in batteries. For the batteries, we think there is a global problem. It's very good that people know that the batteries of a road car can be recycled and reused, but that only goes so far at a certain point. We think it's really important that recycling is a big part of defining the whole electrical system for the next generation of cars. So we're going to be doing a lot of work in this area to move the industry forward. By 2030, F1 desires to be net carbon zero, while from the following year, the FIA officials have approved using only 11 slick tyre sets instead of 13. With the team committed to various environmental targets and set to build their value as a profitable organization, everyone will insist on this. Seeing these developments, one can't help but wonder how diversified the era's future will appear, from larger vehicles to smaller ones. Is it possible that this will rewrite the history of Formula One? Would the FIA's adjustments make the race substantially better or worse? Will we experience the same issues as the current 2022 era? What are the positive and negative consequences of these rules for F1? So what do you think about these things? Comment below.